What was that?
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dlzonwlz podcast, brought to you by Dlzonwlz. I'm your host, Carter Farthing, and this episode, I believe, is going to be episode number 5. Episode number 4 with Brian Sturman actually just got uploaded a couple days ago, and it was the first video that we uploaded in the new studio. If you actually aren't watching this on a video platform right now, like YouTube or I think Instagram, definitely make sure that you are watching on YouTube so you can see both camera angles. I got a camera to my left and I got a camera to my right, and we got multiple camera angles. We also have the TV in the background. I don't think we're going to be using the TV too much this episode, but yeah, if you're just listening to this on one of our audio platforms, definitely make sure to watch on video platforms. And if you're just watching this on a video platform and are looking for a different way to watch, Dlzonwlz is now available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Amazon Music, and I think basically every other audio streaming platform. Anywhere that you can get your podcasts, you can now listen to the Dlzonwlz podcast and enjoy my sexy voice. Anyways, let's get into what we're here to talk about. I think today we're going to kind of dive into the financial side of Dlzonwlz. I'm not going to touch too much on the meat and potatoes. I don't really want to talk about numbers that much, but I want to take a second to explain what it takes to run a company, to run an automotive manufacturing / accessory / media company in the 2020, I guess in the 20s. It's pretty weird to think that we're in the 20s again. Everything's kind of ass backwards. Also, it's 110 degrees in the garage right now. If you guys didn't notice in the interview with Brian Sturman, we both got absolutely fucking scorched in this garage. Washington is going through a heat wave right now. It was 112 degrees on the day of the Brian Sturman interview, and yesterday it got to be 115 degrees in Tacoma. So it's absolutely bonkers out here. I'm sweating up a storm. Hopefully it doesn't distract me from the podcast too much. But yeah, I kind of want to talk about what it has taken to make all of this possible. I want to talk about the reselling process and how much it's taken to really start the website, start the podcast, and start and maintain all of this for you guys. All of this basically has been funded by a little bit of debt that I've taken out through the bank, and all of the personal money that I've had set aside from all of my previous business endeavors and a couple of my projects. I did have to sell a couple cars to keep this going, but I mean, that's all the name of the game. I've been at points in my life where I've had more money than God and had no cars, and I've been at points in my life where I had no money at all and had 10 cars in the garage. This is a point in my life where I have a podcast and no money, and I ride my bike to work every day. I'm a drifter. I'm a drifter at heart. I mean, I'm looking at my fully built 05 Mustang GT track car right now. It's sitting right in front of me in the garage. It's kind of the best part about having the garage in the office, is I can just kind of stare at the car the whole time. But yeah, if you didn't see the previous 2 episodes, definitely go back and watch those now. I sit down with a couple drifters from the Pacific Northwest and talk about their rides. The first interview was one of my longtime friends, Mitch Roseanne, who drives a Z33 Nissan 350Z. And then I just interviewed Brian Sturman, which is a local E30 / BMW mechanic from the Pacific Northwest. He's actually moving to, I think he's moving to, not Texas, Florida. He's moving to Florida in about a week. So I'm glad I was able to get that interview done before he leaves us. But yeah, go back and watch those. Subscribe to Dlzonwlz on all of the audio platforms that you feel necessary, just to make sure that you don't miss any episodes. I did also want to mention one thing before getting into anything, is the Dlzonwlz website is live right now if you guys want to support the podcast and help fund better content in the future, better audio equipment, better visual equipment. I am seriously just filming with a couple iPhones right now and a cheap mic with, yeah, it's not the best setup by any means, but I mean, it works, and I'm excited to make as much content as I can with you guys, or for you guys. Actually, I do want to say this as well. I'm not making content for anybody. I'm not making these podcasts to impress anybody. I'm not censoring myself. I'm not kind of watching what I'm saying. I'm sitting down and I'm having a conversation with you guys as if I would sit down and have a conversation with basically any car guy or fucking anyone that walks through these doors and wants to have a conversation. Also, I'm not just going to interview drifters. I will interview anyone in the community, anyone in the motorsports realm, or anyone relevant to my life. I watch a bunch of comedy podcasts, and I'm a fan of a bunch of comedians. So if eventually we move into the comedian realm and start interviewing people from that side of the world, don't complain. This is what I want to do. I'm making content that I want to watch. I'm making content that I want to listen to. And if you don't want to listen to it, there's a million other podcasts for you to listen to. So that's kind of my spiel on authenticity. I'm never going to lie to you guys. I'm never going to say anything to kind of front and act like I'm better or more than I am, because at the end of the day, I'm just a dude with a high school education sitting in front of an iPhone. I'm not better than you. I'm not worse than you. I'm just another guy. I don't know if that sounds pretentious. I don't know what I'm even really talking about at this point, but I just want to make it clear that I'm one of you guys, and I'm never going to change this content. I'm just going to speak from the heart and continue to do that until my heart gives out or something. Anyways, into the financial side of Dlzonwlz, how it started, how it's been funded, how it's kind of growing, and where I want to take it in the future. I guess the first thing I really want to mention is right after I got out of high school, I didn't really want to work. I didn't want to go to college, basically because I didn't like high school. I didn't like sitting in classes. I didn't do a lot of it. Anything that I did at high school was basically me just being in the auto shop. Anytime I had to sit down and listen to direction, I kind of just didn't. So I'm basically just at the point after graduation that I want to be my own boss and I want to work in the automotive space. But I mean, to be 18, actually I graduated at 17 years old. To be 17 years old and not want to listen to anyone and kind of want to do your own thing, I did what I knew how to do, which was buy low and sell high. It's something that I've been doing since I was a kid, something I was doing in middle school when I was reselling kendamas and reselling sneakers and reselling clothes. Buy low and sell high, and that's what I wanted to do. So right out of high school, I started scooping up as many used wheels, like car wheels. Dlzonwlz is kind of where I, obviously. But anyways, I started buying used or even new but cheaper wheels on OfferUp and Facebook and Craigslist. Basically anywhere that you can post something for sale. I would scour the internet for days and days and days, basically just trying to find the best deals on wheels that I could find. I would buy a set of XXRs for $100 and sand them down, spray paint them, make them look... Basically, I would polish a turd. But at this point, I was 17, 18 years old, and I would sell a set of wheels for $400, $450, $500 and make quadruple my money that I was invested in them. And I was at the point where if I did that 2 or 3 times a week, I wouldn't even really need a job. I obviously had jobs growing up and going through high school. I worked at Zoomies and McDonald's and a couple stores in the mall. That wasn't for me. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to make money with not as little effort, but I don't want to say as little brain power as possible, because obviously it takes my brain to compute and to be able to do all of these things, but it's kind of like a mindless task where I could lose myself in it. Like cleaning up and refurbishing and reselling wheels was something that I liked to do. I liked sanding them down. I liked painting them. I liked working on them. I liked test fitting them on all the cars that I had. Because in high school, I mean, I had plenty of cars to test fit all the wheels on, showcase the wheels. The best way to actually set a set of wheels is to put them on the car, make the car look good, and just take a couple pictures of the wheels on the car. It'll make the wheels look 10 times better. But once I played that hand, I did that for about 6 months, and then I went on a trip to Japan. I know I still haven't really gotten into my month-long trip to Japan in 2019 yet. I would probably like to do my next episode solely on the trip to Japan and what it took to get there, what I did while I was there, and basically everything that happened revolving around that trip. But this is not the episode for that. So after I got back from Japan, I saw basically how easy it was to resell Japanese parts, or parts from the motherland, or things that were exclusive to Japan. Like any parts made by HKS or Nismo, which is Nissan's racing division. Basically any old Japanese parts that were only sold, manufactured, and distributed in Japan. You could pull a fat premium on those parts in the United States. I mean, it's not the same quality. I never want to say that Japanese stuff is cheaper than American-made stuff, but I mean, obviously in Japan they had reliability, or more reliable. I don't know. Japan had Nissans and Toyotas and Hondas, which were basically built like Legos. So, I mean, any parts that were made for Nissans or something like that in Japan, they weren't overly complex. They were simple. There's kind of a thing with Japan, and it's reliability and simplicity. And the parts that you would see over here in America that were originally imported or like came over a couple years ago, anything that was JDM, quote unquote, was super expensive over here. But if you sourced it yourself from Japan, either by flying over there and buying parts and flying back with them, or there's a couple websites where you can buy parts at auction houses or on Yahoo Auctions Japan, which is kind of like the Japanese version of eBay. If you're ever looking for basically any JDM parts or wheels or engines, Yahoo Auctions Japan is probably the best place for you to look. It is all in Japanese. Everything on Yahoo Auctions Japan is posted in Japanese, but there's a website. This is kind of the secret sauce for anyone that hasn't imported anything yet. When I was importing wheels and car parts, I used a website called JAUCE, spelled Jauce, kind of like sauce, but with a J up front. And I would use that to... It's kind of... It translates all of the for sale ads on the Yahoo Auctions page into English, and kind of just gives you a brief breakdown or synopsis of what is for sale in Japan and how much it's going to take for you to get it over here and how long. JAUCE was always a super good platform for me when I was importing wheels. I believe I imported at least a dozen sets in the first year. I've definitely strayed away from buying wheels overseas and waiting for them to get here. It's a lot of overhead to buy a set of wheels sight unseen and then have them travel, whether that be on air when the parts fly on an airplane over the ocean to get to us, which takes only a couple weeks, but it's super expensive. Or you can do a shipment an overseas shipment where it goes over a cargo ship. It comes over on a boat, and it takes 2 or 3 months, but it's a little bit cheaper. But at that point, it's still, you're a bunch of money into the wheels themselves, then you're a bunch of money into the shipping, then you're a bunch of money for the service fees, whether that be at the port or the auction house that you bought it from, and then you still have to wait an extended period of time on a set of wheels that may not even show up. I had 2 sets of wheels where I spent almost $1,500 after shipping and whatever, where either only 2 of the wheels show up, where because usually when you buy a set of 4 wheels, it comes in 2 giant boxes. And if one of those giant boxes goes missing, like I had happen a couple of times, then you end up with a pair of wheels that literally aren't worth even 40% of what you paid for the wheels and the shipping and the processing and the shipping and the handling. Because, I mean, it's just a pair. Obviously a pair is still worth a lot of money, but it's by no means worth what an entire set is worth. I do still have a couple pairs that I've been sitting on because I literally don't know what to do with them. I think maybe eventually I might give them away, but if you're interested in that, definitely drop a comment down below if I should do a wheel giveaway down the road. But yeah, once the wheel and parts thing got super popular, probably right before or during COVID, during the whole lockdown thing, people really realized how much money there was in importing small parts or importing wheels from Japan. And I saw the prices and the market and everything just pretty much skyrocket. And I was at the point where I didn't want the overhead of waiting for wheels, and I didn't want the stress of shipping out wheels, because when you're shipping out a full set of wheels, you're shipping out 4 18, 19, 20-inch huge wheels that weigh 25 pounds a piece, and it costs a bunch to ship, and it's risky. So I kind of wanted to find a good balance between what I was familiar with, which was buying low and selling high, and the whole hype beast, or the whole not aftermarket. What do I want to say here? The whole thing about the Supreme and the Bape market was it was extremely hard to get something, which made it more expensive. I wanted to find products that were easily stockable, as in I could have a full inventory at all times and not have a whole lot of not inventory. Sorry, it's getting hot in this garage. But I wanted to find something that it was a lot cheaper to store, a lot cheaper to ship, a lot cheaper to actually keep an inventory, because if I was selling wheels, I would be able to have 2 or 3 sets of wheels at a time, which was $5,000, and it would be a bunch of overhead that I would not necessarily be a fan of. When I could take a couple grand, probably half of what I was invested in a couple of set of wheels, and find a product that I could buy a bunch of and be able to sell on the Dlzonwlz website, or be able to market to just about anyone that was involved in the motorsports game. Back when I was importing wheels and right before basically the market took off, one basically specialty wheel that I was really interested in that a lot of people may think is ugly is 3-spoke wheels. I don't know if you can see the original logo behind us is the Dlzonwlz tri-spoke logo, which is kind of inspired by the Advan SA3R, the 3-spoke wheel that I fell in love with. I've been in love with 3-spoke wheels since probably I had my first set. Oh, actually behind me on the wall over here. Also, if you're not watching the podcast on YouTube, I definitely recommend that you do that so you can see the visuals. But you can see that I also had a Honda Accord wagon on Advan's set of 3-spoke wheels. This was actually my first set of Advans that I ever got. I put them on my 94 Accord when I got back from Japan. I think I bought them before I left for Japan, and then I threw them on the car when I got home. But I got them on OfferUp. Someone was selling them before they were moving out of state, so I think it was like a giant moving sale. So they posted a giant picture of their garage on OfferUp, and you could just kind of see what was available, and it just kind of said make an offer. And I saw these wheels, Advan SA3Rs, super rare wheels. I think these ones were 17 by God, I don't even want to guess what spec they were, because I'm probably going to be wrong. But they were 17s, and they had all the center caps, they had all the center hex coins, they had all of the accessories, they had a full set of tires on them too, and I saw them posted on OfferUp in this pretty generic post, make an offer. So I messaged the guy on OfferUp and asked him how much he wanted for him. $60. 60. I paid $60 for my first set of Advans, all 4 of them, with center caps, full set of tires. The tires were dry rotted, and the wheels, they didn't come raw. Obviously, in this picture, they're raw and silver. When I first got them, they were black faces with blue anodized lips, or rims, whatever the outside of the wheel is called, wherever you're from. But yeah, they were atrocious, so I took some time and I cleaned them up. I think I let them sit in aircraft paint stripper in a Rubbermaid for a couple of hours, and then I hit it with a pressure washer, and all of the anodizing and paint came right off to expose a raw metal finish with a like a silver, basically a polished silver lip. They looked amazing. And they were 4x11 4.3, which is definitely the cheaper, or not cheaper, just the easier to come by variant of the Advan SA3R, because they came in 5 lug as well for the like 350Zs or 240s, or the S14s that were 5 lug, or the RX-7s. I know a lot of people put the RX-7s on 3-spoke wheels, but yeah, I got my obsession with the 3-spoke wheels basically just off of OfferUp, and then on Yahoo Auctions Japan, I saw that, obviously, so when I say that I bought these wheels for $60 on OfferUp, it was solely because the guy had no idea what he was looking at. Even in the condition, with them being, they were black with a bunch of chips and a bunch of corrosion all over the faces. So they weren't obviously in the best condition. I would rate them like a 5 out of 10 for anyone that was looking to buy them. But I took them home and cleaned them up, and they were well worth over $1,000 at that point. Cleaned up, a full set of Advan SA3Rs. Even I got those in early 2000, or probably late 2018, and they were awesome. So I got them for $60. After I cleaned them up, they were worth easily over $1,000. And I started looking on on Yahoo Auctions Japan and Kruber. If you don't know what Kruber is, it's UpGarage's version of Yahoo Auctions Japan, where you can actually, it's not really an auction site because all of their prices are posted, but it's an imported, it's like OfferUp, but the Japanese version, and UpGarage posts all of the parts and wheels that they have for sale. Because if you don't know what UpGarage is, it's like the Goodwill of used car parts in Japan. If you have an old car part and you need a little bit more money, you can actually take it to UpGarage and they'll buy it from you and put it on their shelf, even if it's used, which is really cool. But UpGarage used to post all of these 3-spoke wheels on Kruber, or I would find them from a private party on Yahoo Auctions Japan for $100 or $200 for a complete set, and then I'd pay probably $350 to $450 to have them imported from Japan to America. But in, I think, a week, I ended up buying 4 complete sets of Advans, for, I think, still less than $2,000. And then I ended up selling each and every set for over $1,000. So, I was the Advan king there for a minute, but I realized that everyone was getting onto it, and I couldn't really compete with the guys that were in the game for a long time, like VR Wheels and 3-Piece US, and obviously those companies have had problems in the past. People have said negative things about them, but for a most part, the people that have the wheel importing and exporting kind of trade down, that have been doing it since the early 2000s, they have so much money and so much experience and so many connections over in Japan that it makes small-time sellers like myself kind of obsolete, because you can basically go on their Instagrams or their websites and pay almost not retail, but you could pay really good prices for a bunch of wheels that were good and that you know that they were quality wheels and you weren't taking the risk on bidding on them from a sight unseen auction from Japan, knowing that they might not show up. You're buying from a reputable company from the United States that's going to ship it straight to your house. And if you have any problems with them, you can take it up with them. Not that the companies have a very good track record of paying for their returns or helping people out when they have problems like that. But, I mean, at least you have the option to. When you buy something on Yahoo Auctions Japan, you're kind of stuck with it forever, even if it does. I mean, yeah. So anyways, I kind of got out of the parts and wheels reselling space, and I kind of wanted to... God, I don't even know why I thought this was a good idea. I wanted to open a right-hand drive or imported cars dealership. I wanted to open a dealership where I sold exclusively right-hand drive cars from Japan, or basically any right-hand drive cars that I could get my hands on. When I got back from Japan, actually, before I left for Japan, I had a couple chasers. I had a JZX 81, and no, I didn't have a chaser before. I had my Aristo, my JZS 147, the 2JZ, the slammed one. I had previous right-hand drive cars before I left for Japan, but when I spent time in Japan and I came back and I saw basically how much money there was in importing and selling right-hand drive cars in the States, I kind of wanted to take a dip. I wanted to try my hand at it. I wanted to take my piece of the pie. So I realized from my time in buying and selling cars previously, before I was selling right-hand drive cars, that, I mean, you want to buy something that needs a little bit of what they call TLC. TLC stands for tender love and care, or tiny little crap, whatever you want to decipher it as. But it's a car that you need to wash up, maybe throw a set of wheels on it, maybe throw some suspension on it, give it a good detail, clean the inside, replace a little bit of things here and there. So you never want to invest your money in a super clean car, because you're going to be spending a big chunk of your money that way. So I was getting cars that needed a little bit of TLC, a little bit of love, and I was trying my best to flip them for basically the resale price that Japanese cars were going for at that time. When I got back from Japan, I bought my first right-hand drive car with the sole intention of buying it and posting it as a quote-unquote dealership. This car was a 1990 Toyota GX90, which is the non-turbo version of the JZX90 or the Tur-V or the Chaser, the Mark II, the big 4-door rear-wheel drive straight six Toyotas that came only in Japan. I bought one of these from a guy that had already imported it from Japan. My whole thing was I didn't taking my experience from buying wheels from overseas. I didn't want the hassle of waiting and taking the risk of shipping something overseas. So I was trying to find the best deals on anything that I could get my hands on that was already stateside. So I was searching OfferUp and Facebook and basically any marketplace that I could get on. A lot of eBay searches as well for anything right-hand drive already in America, preferably manual, preferably rear-wheel drive. And I stumble across a Craigslist ad in Greenville, South Carolina? Yeah, Greenville, South Carolina. And this was over a year ago at this point, but I found a right-hand drive JZX90, a Toyota Chaser, that was right-hand drive. It was silver. It had tan interior, but it was manual, right-hand drive, and rear-wheel drive, meaning the rear wheels are the ones that turn, unlike Hondas or more economy cars. So this thing was equipped, well, not equipped to be a drift car, but it was capable of being a drift car because it was manual and rear-wheel drive. And it was a cool car because it was imported from Japan and it was right-hand drive. So I got in contact with the importer that had brought it over from Japan. His name was Rob. Rob runs Japanese Auto Classics LLC. Oh God, I'm gonna feel so bad if that's not what it's called. But anyway, Rob runs an import dealership that he's been running for a couple of years, and actually the extent of probably over a decade. So I get in contact with Rob, and I let him know that I'm serious about the Chaser, and the car's got super low miles too. I can't remember how many miles it had. I think it was 68,000, but I could be making that up. But the car was good. It had AC. It wasn't turbo, so it wasn't too expensive. I think after the deposit and the plane ticket and my Airbnb. Oh yeah, so my plane ticket. So I talked to Rob, and I secure the car. I give him a deposit, and I end up flying from Seattle all the way to South Carolina, which is the other side of the country. And I guess I didn't really realize that at the time, but I mean, it was the other side of the country. So I fly into, I don't remember what the airport was called, but I fly into South Carolina, and I get an Uber to my Airbnb, and I stay the night. It's like 110 degrees in the Airbnb, and I wake up fresh and early the next morning, and I walk to the importer. I get my backpack on, and I literally have a pocket with about $6,500 cash in it, and I walk in a basically foreign country at this point, because I'm on the other side of the country in a state I've never been in, with no one I have ever met before. I'm by myself. I'm 19 years old, pocket full of money, and I walk all the way to this importer on the other side of the country, and I knock on the door before he even opens. No one was there. I got there before he did, and I waited there for about half an hour, and he pulls in, and he goes, "Oh shit, you're Carter, you're actually here." I mean, I've got a bunch of people saying that they want to come see this car. I've got a bunch of people, but no one from the other side of the country made that effort. And actually, I mean, I bought a plane ticket, I think the day after I decided that I found the car. I flew over there, I meet Rob, I give him the money, we do all the paperwork, and the car's flawless. I mean, it's got a little bit of paint work on one of the doors, the AC pumps, it's a completely bone stock 1990 JZX90, or I guess GX90, since it was the Grande version, the non-turbo. It had the 1G GE motor in it, which is the non-turbo straight six that came in the Chasers, opposed to the non-VVTi 1JZ, the turbo or the twin turbo version that came in those cars. Anyways, so I end up getting this car for all said and done, let's just say $7,000 after the deposit, the flight, the lodging, the food, the car, and driving it home. I drive it home. God, I'm trying to remember the time frame. It was 1,300 miles. And I think I stopped and slept for an hour one time while I was driving over the Rocky Mountains, because, I mean, I couldn't even keep my eyes open. And I ended up driving the car all the way home with zero issues. I mean, if you ever want to talk about reliability, I drove cross country in a car that I've never even seen before, in a Toyota that was 25 years old, that hadn't been serviced yet. I mean, I think it had an oil change, but it had stock plugs and all that in it. But yeah, I drove the car cross country. I got it home, I cleaned it up, and I post it on the Dlzonwlz Instagram and on Facebook, on OfferUp, basically anywhere that I can sell the car. And I ended up trading that car for a BMW Z4, which is crazy. I think they gave me $3,500 on top, and the BMW Z4, which the Z4 is a pretty expensive car back then. I can't remember what year the Z4 was. But it's the big two-door clown shoe looking BMW, the convertible. And it was 6-speed, black leather interior, under 100,000 miles. So someone gave me a bunch of money and a BMW Z4 for that Chaser. And I took the Z4 and traded it for the black 350Z that my girlfriend drives now. That was kind of the beginning of the end for the whole dealership side of things. I love cars, and I love having cool cars, and I love having cars that I can buy and drive and enjoy, and then turn around and flip and make a bunch of money on, or a bit of money, depending on the car. But after the Chaser, I got Rachel her 350Z. She loves that thing. She'll probably drive it until it blows up. She is in love with that car. But I ended up taking some of the money from that deal and buying an R32 from Rob again. Rob has definitely been a fantastic supporter of mine and helping me with getting right-hand drive cars that are already stateside for a good deal. He has gotten me, I think, 3 cars at this point. I got the JZX90 from him, and then I bought a ENR 32, which is the 4-door version of the Nissan Skyline R32. That one was a GTE model, so it was automatic, non-turbo, but it was a clean car. It was 4 doors. It didn't really need anything. I think I ended up putting some Nismo lowering springs and a set of Advans on it, so that car eventually got some 3-spoke wheels before I sold it. That one I got over 10 grand for, which was the turn of the market. I mean, I sold my Chasers and all of my Silvias and basically every right-hand drive car before the turn of the market, where everything literally doubled in price. I sold my right-hand drive 1995 Nissan, not 240SX, my Nissan Silvia. It was a S14 Silvia, one of the first S14 Silvias to be registered in the state of Washington. And I sold it for, I think, 10 grand exactly. Before the turn of the market, where at this point it would probably be worth $18,000, $19,000, $20,000 for a bone stock S14, even if it was automatic non-turbo. But yeah, so I've done well in the dealership / resellers market of the right-hand drive cars or imported cars. But I mean, there's a lot of overhead and a lot of things that can go wrong. I didn't want to be the person that truly was ignorant to something that was wrong with a car and then resell that car without knowing what was wrong with it, or not doing my due diligence, or literally not having the wherewithal to know what was wrong with a car and sell it for a substantial amount of money. Because I mean, these cars I was selling, they weren't Honda Civics. They were $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 cars that I was selling without ever really going over them. I mean, it wasn't the most responsible thing on my part, and I definitely could have done better, but I did what I felt like I wanted to do by getting the Deals on Wheels name out there, getting some experience by buying these cars, getting a feel for them, and actually putting my hands on them and being able to modify them, because I never leave a car stock. Whenever I get a car, the first thing I do is buy coilovers, a set of wheels, and probably an aftermarket stereo for it, because, I mean, that's what makes a car feel like home. But ever since, I mean, I also ended up getting a K-Truck, a right-hand drive Honda Acti, the van version of the Honda. Oh no, it was a Honda Street, which is the van version of the Honda Acti, which is the K-Trucks, the little tiny Japanese trucks that you can see on basically everywhere. They're a dime a dozen now, but I got the van version, which was the Honda Street, and that thing was awesome. We actually used it to move into my new apartment, so using the right-hand drive K-van to move into my first apartment was definitely a cool experience. But I love drifting and right-hand drive cars and JDM cars, drift cars so much that I think it probably wasn't the most healthy thing for me to be buying, selling, and trading them, because I wanted to own them personally, and I was building them as if I was going to own them, and I was driving them as if I was going to own them, and I don't know. I just wanted to get into a point where I don't want to screw anyone over. That's never been my intention. That's never what I want to accomplish by making money. Because if I'm making money, obviously someone is giving me that money, and I want to build that trust. I want to have returning customers. I want to have people that trust me with their money enough that they will give it to me again in the future. So I never really want to screw people over on a car deal. So until I can get the proper insurance, until I can become an actual dealership in the state of Washington, I kind of backed away from importing or buying right-hand drive cars to then resell, because I mean, I had my fun. I had over half a dozen of them, and I mean, just under a year point. I was going through them pretty crazy. But I didn't want the government to catch up. Not that I was ever doing anything shady. There was going to be questions that I would have to answer eventually about some of these cars. And I just think it's a little bit easier to stay away from selling, buying, reselling cars, and pretty much focus on selling, buying, and manufacturing accessories for those cars so that I can afford to build and buy and drive my own. Anytime that I was driving or drifting or basically stunting one of my nice cars, it was because I was putting as much time and effort into the car as possible to get it as much publicity as possible, so that when I was ready to turn around and sell it, which I always eventually planned on doing, every car that I've ever had, I never looked at it and said, oh, I'm never going to sell this one. Every one that I've ever had, I planned on making some sort of money out of. So now I'm just kind of at the point where I don't want to accidentally screw someone over and lose everything I have because of it. So I get into the accessory side of things. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, Dlzonwlz, after I kind of realized I didn't want to sell cars and I didn't want to import wheels, I went, and I know it might be a little bit sacrilegious, it may be against a lot of people's code of ethics or whatever, but there's something called the Nismo Heritage Program, which is something that Nissan started in the late 90s, or maybe the mid 90s, where they made specialty like designer parts for their Nissans and Skylines and basically anything that was affiliated with the Nismo name, they were making parts for. So these Nismo Heritage keys, I can show you guys on this camera. It's a key that fits basically any Nissan from 1989, or maybe even a little bit before that, until the late 90s. I think the R34s and the S15s moved to a computerized key. But any mechanical, like 240 or Sylvia or Skyline that takes a key like this, you can get one of these Nismo keys and have them properly cut to replace your ignition key. These were sold in the late 90s, early 2000s at Nissan dealerships in Japan and a couple other countries. And they were super rare for a long time, and then they went out of production. Nissan stopped making them. You could still get new old stock from a couple dealerships from across the world, but the Nismo Heritage keys were going for $400, $500, $600, $700 on Yahoo Auctions Japan, and on eBay if it was stateside. And people were paying astronomical amounts of money for Nismo keys for their cars that, I mean, if you're paying that much money for a key, you're crazy. I mean, obviously you can say the same thing for the hype beasts about the Supreme and the Bape and the Antisocial Club. Anyone that's spending astronomical amounts of money just because something has a rarity value to it, it doesn't make it more necessarily a quality part. It just means it's harder to come by, it's harder to find, and you're just pretty much cloud searching. You're looking for something that you can afford or are pretending to afford so that people get jealous of it. So I went through and I found a manufacturer overseas that went through and reproduced the Nismo Heritage keys with the new Nismo logo, the old Nismo logo, and the GTR logo for the R32s and the R33s. I sold, I think, 200 or 300 keys in the span of a couple months between January, February, and March of the beginning of this year. Basically, the beginning couple months of this year, I was selling the Nismo GTR Nissan Heritage keys on eBay and Amazon and Dlzonwlz.com, and that's what funded basically the website and the YouTube channel, and basically paid the bills for a couple of months. Then, I mean, not that I was against, because I wouldn't necessarily say that the keys are fake. Obviously, they're a reproduction of the Nismo keys that were manufactured in the 90s. The original keys were made by Nissan in the 90s out of an alloy, a nickel something alloy. They're made out of nickel titanium alloy. And these keys that I had remanufactured are made out of the exact materials that the original keys were made out of in the 90s. So they aren't the original keys. They are a remanufactured set. And I ran into, not trouble, but I ran into a little bit of a decision whether I wanted to sell someone else's products, or I could veer to the left and make something of my own that had my own name on it, that was made and produced and manufactured by Deals on Wheels for Deals on Wheels to exclusively be sold on Deals on Wheels. So I went through and I gathered a team of drivers that drive Nissans from all over the continent. I've mentioned this a couple times before, but the Sponsored Drivers Collection is a group of 6 drivers that I had apply. Well, let me start at the beginning. I put an application out on the Deals on Wheels website like 6 months ago to see if anyone wanted to represent Deals on Wheels by promoting our content or wearing some of our merchandise, whether that be t-shirts or hats or whatever, or putting our stickers or accessories on their cars to promote them and get a little bit of exposure for myself and exposure for the drivers themselves so they can make a little bit of money. So I started the Deals on Wheels Sponsored Drivers Collection, which, as I mentioned, has a team of 6 different drivers on it from all across the country. And the Sponsored Drivers Collection is a collection of accessories. Excuse me if I don't want this bag to be loud on the microphone, but it's a collection of accessories that I had manufactured based on designs from the drivers' cars. This one is Jacob's pack. He drives a Fairlady Z, a right-hand drive 300ZX twin turbo from Japan, and you can see here his design is based off of his car, and the Sponsored Drivers Collection is available on Dlzonwlz.com. There's 6 different packs. Every pack includes 2 weatherproof stickers, which you can see here. This is Jacob's design for the sticker. They're the perfect size for the back of your phone or your water bottle, your hydro flask, or your dash, wherever you want a picture of a little JDM car. And then it comes with 2 of those stickers and then one of these enamel pins that is backed on a business card. That once the card is used and you've used the pin, you can store the card in your wallet just as a little bit of a souvenir. So you get the 2 stickers, the enamel pin with the collector's card on the back, and then you get the Black Ice air freshener as well, inspired by the car. So all 6 designs include 2 stickers, the pin, the air freshener, all with the pin. You can see on the pin it says the Deals on Wheels. It's got the old logo there, and then it's got whatever the vehicle manufacturer is, and then it's got the team member's Instagram handle on the back of the card there as well. There are only 100 of these packs produced for each driver, so there's I guess a total number of 600 packs available. I produced these a couple months ago, and I wanted to make it so $5 from every purchase went to the drivers themselves to support their cars. I have 100 of each pack. I haven't sold really any. I spent a lot of money having the stickers and the pins and the air fresheners produced for everybody, and I hand drew all of the design. Well, I didn't hand draw them. I sketched them on my iPad using pictures of their cars. So there's 6. I obviously will insert a picture of the 6 different packs above me at some point, so you can see what's available. But I went through and I created the sponsored drivers packs so people in the car community would be able to support other people in the car community. I mean, the biggest thing about the community nowadays is the hatred and the disrespect that we send to each other. Hating on people's builds over Instagram or leaving comments or DMs, just basically tearing people apart because they don't support their build or what they've done to their own car. It's pretty ridiculous. So if you do want to support local drifters, or not really local drifters from North America, we've got a couple in the Pacific Northwest, a couple down in Texas, one in Pennsylvania, Quan. Quan's got a YouTube channel. And then there's Rico, who lives up in Edmonton, Canada, who drives a R33 GTR and now is building an R34 GTR in Midnight Purple. Rico's a madman. We have his R33 in the sponsored drivers collection right now. We may eventually pick up his R34 and do a sponsored collection on that. But the sponsored drivers collection has not been selling very well by any means. I basically just want to make I promised each driver a certain amount of money to be sponsored by us, but the whole stipulation was we had to sell a good amount of these sponsored drivers collections, and basically we only sold a couple. I think I kind of went ass backwards and started creating products before I started creating content, because obviously you guys didn't know who I was before the podcast or the Instagram or Facebook, but now I've kind of put a name to the face and you know who's running Dlzonwlz, and I'd really like to support the drivers that I have made promises to in the past, to support their builds and support their lifestyles. So if you do want to support the sponsored drivers pack, definitely check the link in the description, no matter where you're watching. It's probably down there. Or just go on dlzonwlz.com, dlzonwlz.com. Sorry about that. I don't want to really advertise to you guys too much on this podcast. It's a lot of rambling, and I know you guys don't really want to hear how I make money or where the money's coming from, but I think this is going to be my saving grace. After the Nismo keys and the GTR keys, I kind of wanted to put my own spin on the whole key game, and I kind of borrowed this design as well from, I forget what company did it in the 90s, but they had the Playboy Bunny inspired designer key. And now Dlzonwlz is manufacturing these Playboy keys with the Dlzonwlz old logo actually engraved in all of them. Those are not done yet. They are actually still being manufactured overseas right now. This one is literally the first one to ever be produced. It's a total prototype. The ones that you guys will get will come with Cuban link chains and a carabiner to hook up to your keychain as well. And they'll come in some stylish boxes for you guys. So definitely definitely make sure that you check out the Instagram and Facebook for updates to see when that key goes live. The whole thing is, I want to do this. I don't want to stand behind the counter. I don't want to turn wrenches. I want to drive. I want to drift. I want to make podcasts. I want to travel. And I want to build a multi-million-dollar media conglomerate called Dlzonwlz. I have no idea how I'm going to do that. I'm going to continue to push out as much content as I can. Dlzonwlz has been putting out content daily on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube for almost a year now. Obviously, I could do a whole lot better with maintaining a feed and maintaining a relationship with you guys, but I think that's what this podcast is going to be. I want to sit down and talk to you guys once, maybe twice a week in long-form content like this and talk about where the future is taking us. Obviously, there's still going to be interview-based format kind of videos in the future. I'm going to sit down with as many drifters as I can possibly get to come and sit down with me and talk about their cars, but I love drifting. I love talking about drifting, and that's basically what I want to do for the rest of my life. I put out the episode with Brian, the last interview, a couple hours, let's just say premature. I didn't double or triple check the episode before I uploaded it, so there was a little bit of an echo in the audio in the background of the last episode, so I did have to take it down and re-upload it with some new audio. I apologize if you didn't get to see the mastered version. I would like to say that I'm proud of the quality of the content that I've been able to put out recently. I'm not working with a whole lot. I'm working with a 5-year-old MacBook and iPhone and a $50 mic that I got at Best Buy. Actually, it was on sale. But I don't want to put out content that isn't good to look at, isn't good to listen to, or isn't really good. I don't know if I'm really going to start pushing vlog content anytime soon because I want to be picky. I want to be able to put out the content that I want to watch, and I want to be able to put out the best content that I'm able to produce. And at that point, or at this point, the podcast has really been my saving grace. I really want to also thank you guys for just the endless amounts of support in my DMs and in the comment section on Facebook and Instagram on the last two interviews. Excuse me. You guys really seem to enjoy me bringing drifters in here and talking to them about their cars. I do have many lined up. A lot of you have been messaging me asking how to be on the podcast. If you are a drifter in the Pacific Northwest and want to come on the Deals on Wheels podcast, it's an open invite. I just want to see cool cars with cool people that drive them. That's basically it. So if you want to be on the podcast, definitely message me on the Instagram at Dlzonwlz, and we'll try to get you in here. I would also like to say that we are almost at 100 YouTube subscribers and 1,000 Instagram followers. Once we get to 100 100 YouTube subscribers and 1,000 Instagram followers, I would like to do some sort of giveaway. I'd like to show my support for you guys. I've given away a couple stickers in the past. I've given away a couple small packs just to show my support to you guys and people that have been following since the beginning. But if you would like to share the Deals on Wheels podcast to get us to 1,000 followers on Instagram a little bit sooner, or 100 YouTube subscribers, definitely make sure to share the podcast with anyone that you think may be interested in content like this. We're available on every single streaming platform, from from Apple Podcasts to Amazon Music to Stitcher to Spotify to YouTube. Anywhere you want to watch a podcast, Deals on Wheels is available. Yeah, that's basically it. I want to promise to you guys that all of the content from now on will be quality. I'm not going to start rushing stuff out to get it up in time. If a video is a couple days late, it's literally because I'm just trying to make it perfect for you guys. This is my full-time job, and I don't really get paid to do it. So if you guys do want to support Deals on Wheels, definitely go on to the link in bio to see how to do that. There's either Dlzonwlz.com, or you can follow us on all of our social medias, or follow us on any of the audio platforms that you want to listen to Deals on Wheels on. We just wrapped up probably about an hour of this interview with myself. Sorry, I didn't really mean to call it an interview. Yeah, I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Like, comment, subscribe. Watch the rest of the videos that I have up on the channel. I'm sorry if it got way too rambly. It's 120 degrees in here and I'm melting. But yeah, make sure to support us, and I'll try to keep making content for you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
I close my eyes and I see dreams of gold. When I wake up, tell me I'm not alone. Long as there's love in my soul.